Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about extradural hematoma. Extradural hematoma is collection of blood between the skull and dural membrane. This extradural hematoma is most common cause of middle meningeal artery injury at the terion. So this terion is the thinnest part of bone. This terion is actually a head-shaped suture line and it is the thinnest part of the bone. So if there is any external injury, this terion easily gets fractured and this will cause injury to the middle meningeal artery, thus resulting in extradural hematoma. The most common site of extradural hematoma is temporal bone. If you see the clinical features, this is the skull, here this is the extradural hematoma. So clinical features include, you will see that there is altered consciousness, there is lucid interval, that is first whenever there is accident, in the beginning there will be unconsciousness which is progressed to consciousness with GCS of 15 to 15, and finally there is prolonged unconsciousness. So lucid interval is the conscious period between two periods of unconsciousness. Lucid interval is the consciousness period. This consciousness period which is present between the two phases of unconsciousness is called as lucid interval. This can be associated with other types of head injury also. It is not specific for extradural hematoma. Investigation of choice is non-contrast CT scan, where you see biconvex or lentihole or lemon-shaped opacity is seen. Here one important point is the blood which is seen in extradural hematoma. This will not cross the suture line because it is collected between mainly the dura mater and the skull. This dura mater, the outer layer or periosteal layer of dura mater, is tightly adherent at the sutures, and as a result it does not cross the suture line. Then treatment of epidural hematoma includes conservative management is done mainly if there is any midline shift or if there is poor GCS score, then you will have to drill a burr hole. A hole is created close to the terion at the site of draining hematoma, and you will have to drain the blood. This is actually associated with best prognosis. If CT scan is not available in the center, if the CT scan is not available in the center, then we create a burr hole on the side where patient's pupil is dilated. On the side where patient's pupil is dilated, over that side we will have to put a burr hole when the CT scan is not available. That is in emergency setting and in rural areas. Next, the second type of hemorrhage here which is important is subdural hematoma or subdural hemorrhage. In this, the blood is accumulating below the dura mater, that is between the dura mater and arachnoid membrane. Injury of cortical veins or bridging veins will result in subdural hematoma. There is significant association with trauma. Clinical features are, there is impaired consciousness level is seen with decreased GCS. We have three different types of subdural hemorrhage. One, we have acute subdural hematoma, subacute subdural hematoma, and chronic subdural hematoma. In acute subdural hematoma occurs less than 3 days. Subacute subdural hematoma, the symptoms occur in 4 to 21 days, whereas chronic subdural hematoma, the symptoms occur more than 21 days. Chronic subdural hematoma are seen most commonly in elderly more than 65 years of age, and they occur after trivial trauma, because in elderly individuals who are more than 65 years of age, already the brain atrophy has been started. So even with a small trauma that can cause rupture of these bridging veins or cortical veins, resulting in chronic subdural hematoma. Investigation of choice being MRI. Then if we see now, investigation of choice of subdural hematoma at diagnosis is non-contrast CT scan of head. In non-contrast CT scan, you will see presence of concavo-convex hyperdense lesion is seen, which is crescent shaped or banana shaped. So if you see, this is the skull. Here you can see crescent shaped or banana shaped lesion is seen. So if we see the treatment depends upon acute or chronic. In acute settings, so first treatment in this, if there is acute settings, you will have to do craniotomy along with controlling of bleeding. In chronic setting, we will have to drill a burr hole. Then the next important injury of brain is subarachnoid hemorrhage. In subarachnoid hemorrhage, there is accumulation of blood is seen between the arachnoid and pia mater. The most common cause of subarachnoid hemorrhage includes trauma followed by spontaneous rupture of berry aneurysm. Clinical features are, here the patient suffers from excruciating headache, which he describes as the worst headache of his life, which occurs suddenly, and here there is thunderclap headache. Signs of meningeal irritation like stiff neck, vomiting and neck rigidity are also seen. Diagnosis is done by lumbar puncture, where we put xanthochromia, that is RBCs are put in the cerebrospinal fluid, and here there is absence of focal neurological deficit is also seen. Then there won't be any focal neurological deficit because the main problem is in the bleeding occurring between the meninges, that is between arachnoid and pia mater. So this is not involved in any brain lesions, so there is no focal neurological deficit. Investigation of choice is non-contrast CT of head, where you will see presence of Dawson's fingers. Then the treatment is, for subarachnoid hemorrhage, we have to do conservative management should be done. Surgery is not recommended. Then the next important injury is diffuse axonal injury. In diffuse axonal injury, here there is angular strain or forced rotation during trauma. Whenever there is angular strain or forced rotation, this will cause injury at the junction of white and grey matter. So there is widespread injury is seen at the junction of white and grey matter. So this widespread injury, it also causes widespread axonal damage in both the hemispheres after severe head injury. So the clinical features of diffuse axonal injury includes loss of consciousness and there is decreased GCS. There will not be any other clinical features. The patient will have decreased GCS with loss of consciousness. Then you should think it is the diffuse axonal injury. Then investigation of choice is MRI, whereas non-contrast CT scan will be completely normal. This diffuse axonal injury is the most common cause of post-traumatic vegetative state. The prognosis is extremely poor. Then head injury with worst prognosis includes diffuse axonal injury. GCS becomes constant here. So these are the important injuries which you see, that is we have learnt about epidural hemorrhage, subdural hematoma, subarachnoid hemorrhage and diffuse axonal injury. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you.